Have you ever wondered why your erection is weakest in the morning, even though your body technically has all the mechanisms to get hard quickly? As a doctor who treats senior men every day, I can tell you this: your erection is not failing because you are over 60. It is failing because your body wakes up in a state that blocks pelvic blood flow. And unless you perform the right habit before your morning coffee, your penis simply cannot receive the oxygen and pressure it needs to respond. Right after waking, your arteries are tighter, your breathing is shallow, your blood is thicker from nighttime dehydration, and your pelvic floor is slightly tense, a harmful combination that slows blood flow down there. This is why your erection feels slow, weak, or absent in the first hour of the day. But here is the part most men never hear: your body can reverse this state in under a minute with a very simple habit. This before coffee habit activates a natural physiological shift. It opens the arteries supplying the penis, increases nitric oxide, relaxes the pelvic floor, and primes the erectile chambers to fill more quickly. For senior men, this small sequence often works faster than any other moment of the day because the body is extremely responsive right after waking. It simply needs the correct signal. When done correctly, men over 60 report a sudden warmth in the pelvis, a heavier feeling in the penis, and a much faster erection response during stimulation. This is not magic. It is circulation that wakes up the moment you instruct your body how to behave. Before we move forward, take a second to check whether you are already subscribed to the channel. If you are finding this explanation helpful, leave a like and comment the word flow so I know you are following every step carefully. To truly understand why your erection becomes weaker with age, you must understand what happens to your blood flow after 60. As a medical doctor, I can assure you, your erection problems are not just aging. They are the result of a very specific chain of physiological changes that no one explains to senior men, even though every one of these changes is reversible. The first major change is arterial stiffness, especially in the pelvic region. As the decades pass, the arteries responsible for sending blood to your penis lose their flexibility. When these vessels cannot expand quickly, blood cannot rush into the erectile chambers with the speed necessary to create strong pressure. A slow flow equals a weak erection. The second change involves the endothelial lining, the microscopic layer inside your blood vessels that produces nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the chemical signal that tells the arteries to open. But in men over 60, this lining becomes irritated, inflamed, and slow to respond. Without a clean, responsive endothelium, the open now signal becomes weak, which means your penis receives far less blood than it should. Another critical decline is morning dehydration, something older men underestimate. After hours without water, your blood becomes thicker. Thicker blood flows poorly into small pelvic arteries, reducing both speed and volume. This is one of the main reasons morning erections disappear with age. Next, we must consider pelvic floor tension, a silent but powerful enemy of erections. Years of sitting, prostate fluctuations, poor posture, and abdominal pressure cause the pelvic muscles to tighten. A tight pelvic floor compresses the arteries, limits blood entry, and disrupts the expansion of the erectile chambers. There is also a significant reduction in breathing efficiency as men age. Shallow chest breathing reduces oxygenation, stiffens the diaphragm, and restricts circulation to the lower abdomen, all of which weaken erections. This is why breathwork is one of the most powerful tools for improving blood flow down there. Finally, older men experience reduced nerve sensitivity. The nerves that trigger pelvic dilation still work, but they fire more slowly, creating delays in the erection response. Put all of these factors together and you get exactly what most men over 60 experience: slower blood flow, delayed erections, reduced firmness, and a lack of morning hardness. But here is the important truth: none of these changes represent permanent failure. They are functional slowdowns, and the morning habit you are about to learn directly targets each one of them. The Morning habit you must perform before your coffee is much simpler than most men imagine, yet it produces a powerful physiological shift in just a few seconds. The goal is to wake up the pelvic circulation at the exact moment your body is most responsive. Right after waking, your blood is thicker, your arteries are tighter, and your pelvic floor is slightly contracted. This combination makes it almost impossible for strong blood flow to reach the penis quickly. The habit works because it reverses all of these conditions in under 1 minute. As soon as you stand up, take a slow nasal inhale and let your belly expand fully. Most older men breathe from the chest, which keeps the pelvis tight and poorly oxygenated. When your diaphragm drops, the pelvic arteries widen automatically, creating more space for blood to move downward. Then, as you exhale, tilt your hips gently forward just a few degrees and relax the lower abdomen. This tiny movement is enough to release tension from the pelvic floor, a major cause of reduced erection response after 60. The final part of the habit happens naturally. Once you relax the pelvic floor and open the lower abdomen, blood begins shifting toward the base of the penis. Many men feel a warm spreading sensation or a subtle heaviness almost instantly. That is the body signaling that the erectile chambers are activating again. This entire sequence prepares the penis to respond faster the moment stimulation occurs, and for senior men, it often makes the difference between a slow, weak erection and one that appears quickly and with much more pressure. To make this morning habit work with full power, the way you perform it matters just as much as the habit itself. Men over 60 often lose erection response not because the body is incapable, but because the body is not receiving the right physical cues at the right moment. That is why the timing, breathing, posture, and pressure of this habit need to be aligned. When you first stand up, keep your shoulders relaxed and your chest open. This prevents compression of the pelvic arteries and creates a pathway for oxygen to move downward. Then place your hand gently on the lower abdomen so you can feel whether the breath is actually reaching that area. Older men tend to inhale shallowly, which keeps the pelvic region tight and starved of circulation. As you breathe in through your nose, let the belly expand fully and avoid lifting the chest. This simple adjustment tells the pelvic nerves to switch from tension to relaxation, a critical shift for erections to form quickly. While exhaling, soften the lower abdomen and let the hips move forward just a small amount, no more than a few centimeters. This isn't a stretch or a forceful motion, it is a cue that helps release the pelvic floor muscles. A tight pelvic floor blocks blood flow to the penis, so relaxing it at the right moment is one of the most important parts of this method. Hold the relaxed position for just 1 or 2 seconds before bringing your hips back to neutral. Repeat this breathing and movement sequence a few times, keeping everything slow and controlled. The goal is to coordinate your breath with the release of tension in the pelvis so the arteries can widen and the erectile chambers can begin filling more easily. When done correctly, your body shifts into a state where blood can move down there much faster, making your erection respond far better in the minutes that follow. When senior men perform this morning habit correctly, the first signs of improvement often appear sooner than they expect. These early sensations are not imagination or wishful thinking, they are clear biological markers that the pelvic arteries, nerves, and erectile chambers are finally responding again. One of the first changes you may notice is a warm spreading feeling in the lower abdomen. This warmth happens because the arteries that feed the penis begin to widen, allowing blood to move more freely. 4. Many men over 60, this simple shift feels unusual at first because the pelvic region has been tense and underoxygenated for years. Another common sign is a subtle heaviness or fullness in the penis, even without stimulation. This feeling happens when the smooth muscle inside the erectile chambers starts relaxing properly, allowing more blood to enter. It is one of the strongest indicators that the erectile tissue is becoming responsive again. Some men also notice a light pulsing sensation in the pelvic area, almost like a heartbeat. That pulsing reflects improved circulation speed and flexibility in the arteries, two essential components of a strong erection. A very important early sign is the gradual return of morning firmness. It may start faintly and feel inconsistent at first, but even a small shift means the biochemical pathway responsible for nighttime nitric oxide release is waking up again. Many senior men assume this ability is lost forever, but physiologically it is simply dormant, not gone. Another signal is a noticeably faster reaction time when stimulation occurs. Erections that once took long minutes to appear begin forming more quickly, with less effort and less frustration. You may also feel a sense of openness or reduced tightness in the lower abdomen. This indicates that the pelvic floor muscles are releasing tension, which removes one of the biggest physical barriers to blood entering the penis. These early changes may seem small, but they are strong. Evidence that your body is rebuilding the internal conditions required for firmer, more reliable erections. Even when this morning habit is performed correctly, many senior men unknowingly cancel its benefits through small mistakes they make right afterward. These mistakes shut down the very mechanisms the habit is trying to activate, especially the dilation of the pelvic arteries and the relaxation of the pelvic floor. One of the most common errors is drinking coffee immediately after waking. Coffee on an empty stomach triggers a cortisol spike, and cortisol tightens blood vessels. While the habit tries to open the pelvic arteries, caffeine forces them to narrow. For men over 60, this is often enough to completely block the improvement in blood flow down there. Another mistake is eating sugary foods first thing in the morning. Pastries, sweetened drinks, juice, cereal, and white bread inflame the endothelial lining, the tissue responsible for releasing nitric oxide. When the endothelium becomes irritated, nitric oxide production drops, and without nitric oxide, the penis cannot receive the signal to relax and fill. Sugar does not just weaken your results, it directly reverses the progress you made. Sitting too soon after performing the habit is another major problem. Sitting compresses the pelvic muscles and the arteries that supply blood to the penis. It shuts off circulation at the exact moment your body needs freedom and space to move blood downward. Many men do the habit correctly, then sit to drink coffee or check their phone, unknowingly blocking the entire effect. Another subtle mistake is holding tension in the chest or abdomen. Stress and poor posture make senior men tighten these areas without noticing. This tension restricts diaphragm movement, reducing oxygen delivery to the pelvis and increasing intra-abdominal pressure, which limits blood flow to the erectile chambers. Dehydration is another silent blocker. After hours of sleep, blood becomes thicker and moves more slowly. Without proper hydration, even a perfectly executed habit cannot push enough blood toward the penis. These habits might seem harmless, but biologically they undo the very changes the morning habit creates. Avoiding them is just as important as performing the habit itself, because they determine whether the blood flow improvements become consistent or disappear within minutes. To make the morning habit even more effective, you must pair it with 2 additional steps that reinforce everything the habit is trying to create inside your body. These extra steps transform a simple circulation boost into a full morning protocol capable of restoring stronger, faster erections in senior men. The first step is hydration. Drinking water shortly after performing the habit keeps your blood fluid enough to move through the small pelvic arteries with ease. Thicker blood, which is extremely common in men over 60, slows down circulation and prevents the erectile chambers from filling properly. Hydration allows the improvements you triggered to actually reach the penis. The second step is staying upright and lightly active for at least a minute. Do not sit down immediately. Gentle movement, even something as small as walking to the kitchen or stretching your hips, helps keep the pelvic floor relaxed and the arteries open. Sitting too soon compresses the vessels and tightens surrounding muscles, blocking the progress you just made. Light activity keeps the pathway open long enough for circulation to stabilize. The final component is choosing a low-sugar breakfast. Sugary foods early in the day stiffen the arteries and irritate the endothelial lining, completely reversing the dilation created by the habit. A simple meal with protein or healthy fats protects your vessels and keeps nitric oxide levels more stable. Together, these 3 steps, hydration, light movement, and low inflammation nutrition, work with the habit to create the ideal internal conditions. For a firm, if you watch this video until the end, it tells me something important: you are serious about improving your health, your circulation, and your erection in a natural and intelligent way. Before you leave, take a moment to check whether you are already subscribed to the channel. That is the only way to make sure you do not miss the next steps I will be sharing. If you stayed with me through the entire video, comment the word morning so I know you belong to the group that follows. Every detail with real commitment. Also, do not forget to like this video. Your support helps this medical guidance reach more senior men who truly need clear, science-based advice for their sexual health. Now go ahead and watch the next video appearing on your screen. It continues exactly from where this one stops and gives you the next essential step for improving blood flow down their responsive erection, even for men well past 60.